All right, and welcome into the Betting Pros College Football Show. Today on the program, we make our official picks and preview some of the biggest Week 2 matchups across the country. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, and vibes are high out here in Penn State country. Today, I'm joined by someone who doesn't drink my blue and white Kool-Aid, a guy who threw some shade on Drew Aller last week, Terrell Furman. Terrell, how are we doing this week, my friend?
Hey, man. Hey, I'm all right. You got me. You got me. They look pretty okay over there. They did. Nice one on the road against, I think, pretty solid competition. So, all right, shout out to them Nittany Lions.
Yeah, shout out. I'm going to stir that glass of Kool-Aid for you, Terrell. Also joining us is the college football betting savant, Scott Bogman. Boggs, how is the betting card shaping up for you since the last time we spoke earlier this week?
Yeah, we're narrowing it down for sure. So a lot more that I like than leans, but still with some of these popular games, they're a little tight for me. So we'll see.
Okay. I also want to shout out the Betting Pros YouTube community. We had a lot of interaction on our last episode. I also heard from Johnny Beatmaker 330 in the comments. He's saying this is his second season with the program and that he made over $700 in week 1 from our picks. So let's go, Johnny. Congratulations on that. Thanks for watching. Thank you for that comment as well. If you guys have any future success stories, be sure to share them below in the comments, and we'll make sure to shout them out here on the program. And before we jump into the matchup, guys, I do want to remind everyone about the Betting Pros Discord. Looking to up your game in sports betting? Join our exclusive sports betting Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat. Not only can you connect with expert handicappers like Terrell, like Bogman, but you can also get provided free picks for NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, player props, live betting, and so much more. And you can also participate in our weekly community picks. Cast your vote and see how your picks stack up against experts like myself and track your success. Also, don't forget to join our college football podcast group. Sync your picks and use our quick pick feature on the Betting Pros sports betting app and get a chance to win free prizes. Elevate your sports betting strategy and join the conversation today at bettingpros.com/college. All right, and let's hop into the noon slate here, gentlemen, with what many are considering one of the games of the season. The now 3-ranked Texas Longhorns travel to Ann Arbor, Michigan. They're 7-point favorites against the 10th-ranked Wolverines. Boggs, you suggested we get in on Texas early against the spread in the week. If we didn't, would you still like to get in at this key number of 7?
I do. I
Okay.
want to get in on Texas here. And the reasoning I have behind this is really how bad Michigan looked on offense. I think the total is pretty fair. I mean, to have a total in the 40s with these offenses that have strong playmakers is tough, but I don't really want to touch it because I don't know what Michigan is going to do on offense. I don't know how much better they're going to look. I don't know what was looking ahead and what was just a lack of continuity, right? So for me, I like the Texas side. We saw them go on the road in Alabama last year and win a tough road game in a tough environment there, right? Same coaching staff, a lot of the same players. It's not all the same, of course. Things are different, but the level of talent is so close. This line should not be this big, but the way Michigan looked, like the eyeball test, they really didn't pass it. So I'm on the Texas side here. I'm staying away from the total, though.
Terrell, I want to follow Boggs down the yellow brick road and bet on Texas here. Is it smart to get involved in a game of this magnitude with so many uncertainties surrounding this Michigan offense? We know a couple things. We know Loveland will be involved at the tight end position. We know Edwards is a beast in the backfield, but we really have no idea how this quarterback position is going to shake out. We saw some Davis Warren. We saw some Alex Orji in week number 1. So should we just stay away from this one, or should we push our chips into this big noon kickoff?
So everybody wants to know, what am I gonna do? It's gonna be, what is it gonna be? Horns up, horns down. What's it gonna be? Oh wait, but there's another one because I'm split, and I think there's a really good middle opportunity in this game because I think Michigan deserves the respect of +7 at home with that defense and just the defense throwing Quinn Ewers off his game and just making things uncomfortable. I think it was very, very vanilla. That was the handicap. That's why I took Fresno State last week. I think they were keeping it very, very vanilla versus Fresno State because they knew that they were outclassed against Texas and they needed to keep as much to themselves. But that Texas offense is really good, and I do have questions about the Michigan side of ball. I think Michigan's defense is going to come up big for about 3/4 of the game, but towards the end, when it's one play, I'm going to take the Texas offense. So I do think Texas wins, but I think Michigan covers this line. And I think the people that got in early cash on Texas, and the people that got in late end up don't cashing. But this is perfect teaser opportunity. Bring Texas down to 1.5. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Next, we move to Stillwater, where the number 16 ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys host Arkansas. I really like OK State as a whole this season. They're still 6-1 to win the Big 12, by the way. I might have a little investment here on that later this week. And then Ollie Gordon, Alan Bowman, Brennan Presley. It's a very solid offensive trio, one of the best in the nation. And it was on full display last week in week number 1 of the season. However, as most defenses do in the Big 12 here, they're suspect at best. And since Monday, this spread has shifted a half point in Arkansas's direction to make OK State 7.5-point favorites. Terrell, is there a number that you need to see to get in on backing the Cowboys here? Keep in mind, we didn't see Arkansas starting ex-wide receiver Andrew Armstrong last week, and his status for week 2 is uncertain. So I'm not sure how well the Razorbacks will be able to move the ball here.
Yeah, and if he does play, I think that they're going to keep that very close-knit to the organization and just not letting that get out there. But again, Arkansas, another team that I think was being very, very vanilla in the first week, despite, 70-0 in that game.
They scored on every single one, a touchdown on every single one of their possessions.
Yeah, and so I don't think it's going to be that easy, but oh my gosh, you're telling me to fade Bobby Petrino in his return to Arkansas in a major game? What? No, this is absolutely, I had a buddy deployed with, he was a huge Arkansas fan. All he's been talking to me about this offseason is Bobby Petrino. And we were talking earlier today, and he said, man, I think we got it. And I believe him. Bobby Petrino's going to get this offense looking really good. He had Texas A&M looking very solid last year. And then you remember what he did with that Missouri State squad and taking them to their first conference title in 30-plus years. Now this is the return with Pittman on the hot seat. It doesn't seem like there's an ego thing between the two coaches at all. If anything, Petrino is very thankful that he got brought back. And now they have Taylor Green, who is going to go in here and absolutely torch. I think that the offense on this Arkansas side of ball is going to be really good. And by the end of the season, Arkansas can be one of those teams that we say, hey, they were fun to watch. Did they win a lot of games? Maybe, maybe not. But that offense kept rolling. They were fun to watch. I think this is too many points. If this was 5.5, anything under a touchdown, I would be down on Oklahoma State here. But because it's over a touchdown, I think there is a possibility that this gets to overtime with just sheer shootout volume. Yeah, I'm taking Arkansas plus the points, and of course, a little sprinkle on the money line.
Bogman, how do you feel about these two teams coming together here on Saturday?
Yeah, this game, I don't know. It feels weird to me. I don't know that Arkansas has it because, we just didn't have a very good measuring stick in week 1. They were awesome, right? But they're playing low-level FCS competition. It's not a big accomplishment to stomp that team, right? So for OK State beat South Dakota State, who won the FCS championship last week and beat them in impressive fashion. So I really like what I saw from OK State. So I would lean towards OK State in this game, but I kind of like the under. I think both these defenses are going to come to play. I think we're going to see some drives stall out here as well. So I'm more on the under than I am on the spread. I don't know that I like either one of these sides to bet it, though. So I'm kind of a stay away from this game as a whole, but I lean OK State in the under.
Okay. All right. You guys scared me off a little bit. I might think twice. Like Terrell said, maybe if that line moves down a little closer to pick 'em, maybe I would consider taking OK State against the spread. But I appreciate the insight there, boys. Shifting into the 3:30 slate, we have the Iowa Hawkeyes, who jumped all the way up to number 21 in the rankings this week, taking on in-state rival Iowa State. However, no line movement on the spread. Kirk Ferentz and company remain a 2.5-point favorite. The total continues to creep down, though, as low as 35 flat at some shops. Bog, since our last show earlier in the week, it was announced that Iowa State starting middle linebacker Caleb Bacon will be out indefinitely with a leg injury he suffered last week. Does that help you want to get down on Iowa and the points, or even the money line, minus 140 at Caesars there?
This is the reverse of the last game we talked about. I'm much more comfortable taking Iowa and laying the points than I am messing with this total, because I got to tell you guys, I was sweating last week because I took the under 40.5 and the final was 40-0 Iowa. So that last quarter, I did the same thing with Nebraska UTEP last week. Sweated the last fourth quarter real hard, but got them both, so I was lucky there. But I don't know if I trust Cade McNamara to put up a bunch of points again. Like, he had a great week one. Illinois State's not like a rollover FCS team. They're a pretty solid squad, but they're not Iowa State, and Iowa State's defense looked great against North Dakota. They give us some rushing yards, so I mean, this game has gone under twice the last two times they played. I think it was 10-7 and like 13-10. These are low-scoring affairs, this Cyhawk game. So I lean towards the under, but I'm way more comfortable laying the points than taking Iowa.
How do you feel about it, Terrell? The vibes in Iowa City are going to be extremely high here after some of the most explosive offense we've seen in years out of Iowa.
Yeah, and then, hey, Boggs, 17-2 in the history of this matchup to the under. 17-2 since they've been tracking totals. Like, yes, absolutely. It probably would have been worse than that all those years before. I don't think these two teams ever played offense against each other.
Iowa had 3 wide receiver touchdowns last year, and they had 3 in week 1.
So
maybe they're getting better on offense. Yeah,
I'm taking the under. I'm not a Cade McNamara guy. I mean, there's a reason he left Michigan, and if JJ McCartney pushes you out of Michigan, I think that there's other things that you need to consider and talk about. But hey, I'm also not the biggest JJ McCartney guy. However, 1-7 straight up for Matt Campbell. Well, for Iowa State in the last 8 versus this team, 2-5-1. Matt Campbell very good as a dog, but this is Kirk Ferentz coming back from suspension for that recruiting violation. I think the team is going to rally around that. I did actually like some things I saw from McNamara in that second half. The first half was really close. It was a 6-0 game at halftime, and they just kind of pulled away and made it explosive in the second half. So I'm rolling here with Iowa. I don't necessarily like it, but you have to play this under. You don't even question playing the under here. I think that
35, that is such a low number.
I think
Terrell.
Iowa State has a top 25 defense this year. We already know that Iowa is a top 20 defense. I think Iowa State has a really, really good defense too. They bring back 9 starters on that side of the ball. Like, I think they're really, really good. The question for Iowa State is, how good can Beck be at quarterback? If he can be really, really good at quarterback, they're going to be a really good team. They're going to question and really, really challenge for that Big 12 title. But if he's not good, it's going to be ugly. And he had a nasty pick 6 last year that kind of sealed the deal for them.
And he could be really good, Terrell, and still be bad against Iowa.
Yeah, because Iowa's that good of a defense. So maybe this isn't the game for Matt Campbell and his group here against Iowa, a game that they just can't get right. Especially the last time they played in Iowa, Matt Campbell got the 10-7. So 10-7. So yeah, give me the under.
Okay. All right. Gentlemen, let's move to one of the most difficult games in my mind to handicap on this slate. The Baylor Bears march into number 14 Utah Utes. And they're 14.5-point favorite, Utah is, but they have lost number 1 cornerback Kenan Johnson for the entire season. And my brain just instantly wants to default here, take the over 54-point total. This is a game between 2 Big 12 rivals. What do you say you, Terrell?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Big 12. You think over in most of these matchups, but Utah was in the Pac-12 last year, and they take a little bit more pride on the defensive side of ball. And I love this Utah offense. I think Rice Eccles is an amazing place to play a football game, and I think it's going to be tough for this Baylor team coming in. And I think Utah wants to make a statement. First Big 12 game, they want to make a statement of, hey, we're coming in here and we're about to take over this conference. There's no Oklahoma here. There's no Texas, but we're about to be the head honcho around here. So I love Utah to just go ahead and lay the number and get it done. I'm taking Utah all the way.
How do you feel about it, Bogman?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm as confident as Terrell, but I am on the Utah side as well. And I think it's exactly what Terrell said. It's this home field advantage for Utah. It's a difficult place to play. And Baylor is a good experienced team. I believe they're 5th in returning production coming back to this team. But some big pieces of this offense in particular are transfers in Ashton Hawkins, Michael Trigg, and especially quarterback DeQuan Finn. So, it's getting continuity in this. I don't want to touch the total at all. I have no idea how this is going to turn out, right? Because I think Utah could dominate this game. I think this could be a nice, closer game. It possible if Baylor shows up and does everything that we expect them to do. I just don't think that Baylor is in rhythm enough yet to hang with a team like Utah on the road. So I am laying the points and taking the Utes as well.
Okay, and before we continue, I wanted to tell you about Fast Break Bets. If you like betting on basketball, then join host Terrell Furman on the Fast Break Bets podcast, your daily dose of basketball betting in 15 minutes or less. Tune in every day for your rapid-fire fix of all things basketball, from the NBA to the WNBA to college basketball and more. Check out Fast Break Bets podcast on the Betting Pros YouTube channel or wherever you listen to your podcasts. All right, on to the primetime slate. No line movement in this South Florida Alabama game. The number 4 ranked Crimson Tide looked legit in week 1, blanking WKU 63-0. However, we do have an injury on the offensive line. It's left tackle Caden Proctor, currently questionable for this weekend's game with the shoulder injury. They are traveling to Wisconsin next week as well. Terrell, is this a classic look-ahead spot for the Tide, or are you willing to take them and the 30.5 points as well?
Look ahead to Wisconsin? No way. I'm not looking ahead to Wisconsin.
Madison's legit. Madison's a real
I
place.
mean, maybe because
Don't
it's
say
a
that in front of
road
Fitz.
game. It's a road game. I'm not looking ahead to Wisconsin. But in fact, this is a revenge game for Alabama. That game last year was embarrassing, 17-3 on a neutral, quote unquote neutral site. But it was it was in Florida, but it was a bunch of Alabama fans there. And I just don't think that this Alabama group remembered that. I know Jalen Milroe didn't forget it because he got benched that game and they looked horrible, and then he ended up getting his job back. So I think now with the new coach, DeBauer, we talked about it last week, he's now 11-1-1 in the first 4 games of the season, ATS, able to get his team ready and cover the big lines that he's given. I think this is another situation where they just go out here and they just put it down on USF today. And so, yeah, I like Alabama. I'm going to lay the big number with them. Milroe looked really, really good, really, really explosive. And I think with even more time, he can put up even more points. So I'm backing the Alabama Crimson Tide.
That's 2 to back Alabama against the spread here. Boggs, do you make it a clean sweep?
Yeah, I think so. And I think really what Terrell mentioned in last year's game, leaving a bad taste in their mouth, and, Milroe having the issues and all that. Plus, we said this before, Seth. Kalen DeBoer wants to put the stamp on the season and show that Alabama is Alabama. Alabama is not Nick Saban, so let's go out and kick some people's heads in. And I think that is the idea here. And I like USF. I think they're a really good squad, but just they are punching up in weight, and I don't think it's going to go well for them, especially in Alabama. I think the Tide roll here. I think it's a big win for them.
All right, let's go, baby. We also have prime time as Deion Sanders' unranked Colorado Buffaloes take a trip to Lincoln, Nebraska to face the new-look Cornhuskers. The stars will be out in this one. Of course, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, and freshman sensation Dylan Raiola. No spread line movement since Monday, but there has been a little action towards the over so far. I've seen the Cornhusker faithful pack the Memorial Stadium for volleyball games recently. I imagine it's also going to be an electric atmosphere there on Saturday night for the football team. But the injuries are kind of starting to pile up for Nebraska's depth players, not so much the starters here. Boggs, will they have enough to keep up with the Colorado offense, you think?
Man, you make me feel old, Seth, because I realize hearing you talk about them packing the volleyball stadium, like when Scott Frost was playing for Nebraska, that place was rocking. Yeah. I'm actually a little concerned about Matt Rule coming in with a 5-star, albeit, freshman quarterback at this place when it's rocking and it's crazy and it's raucous. Like we just saw Mike Elko lose against Notre Dame, a team that was prepared, pretty equal talent there, but you think, Texas A&M is at home, but Elko hasn't played there. Connor Weigman didn't have a lot of experience playing in that stadium in a big-time game like that either. Raiola doesn't either. So I kind of like Colorado in this game to cover this spread. I know that's not the popular bet. The public money is funneling in towards Nebraska is what it seems like, at least early in the week. So, but I kind of like Colorado here for the talent level. I'm not touching the total at all. So I'm on the Colorado side here.
Terrell, how do you feel? Are you going to back the 19-year-old Raiola here and the Nebraska Cornhuskers, or are you going to lean with Boggs towards Deion's boys?
Yeah, I'm with Deion in them. I question the true freshman quarterback starting in his first big primetime game. Like, this is a huge game. They've been talking about this all week, and after seeing how Colorado looked in week 1, they're like, oh, we have a chance. And so I don't really like that. Shedeur still threw for 393 and 2 touchdowns last year.
Couldn't
like
run.
That defense didn't change. Yeah,
Yeah.
they couldn't run the ball, but he was still able to throw the ball deep. And so if he's able to do that, I think they can make this close and make it and keep it into a one-score game here. That freshman has to play a perfect game for them to
Mhm.
cover the spread. If it was a dog, I might have been on him, but laying that many points with a true freshman in his first real primetime game, nah, not for me.
Great point, guys. I really appreciate that insight there. Let's move to Raleigh, North Carolina for a ranked versus ranked matchup between the 14th ranked Tennessee Volunteers and the 24th ranked NC State Wolfpack. I love this Tennessee offense led by Nico airing it out, Dylan Sampson on the ground as well. And I'm also going to continue to fade the ACC after a disappointing week one for that conference as a whole. The total has shrunk by 2 points since Monday. No line movement on the spread. I've already laid the 7.5 points with Tennessee. Are you riding with me, Terrell?
Oh man, Raleigh, North Carolina, underrated, tough place to go play football. I'm trying to tell you. I don't know. I think it's a lot of points. Well, I think Texas is, the new shiny toy, and Nico is the new. They're talking about him, throwing him in the Heisman conversation and all of that. But again, going into Raleigh, you have to play really, really sound on the offensive end because that defense can sneak up onto you and make this and keep themselves into the game. I think that they kind of had a nice little awakening last week, and I think this week is now, hey, let's go ahead, let's lock into Tennessee, and let's make this and let's compete, make it a game. So I think Tennessee wins. This is another situation where I think Tennessee does get the win on the road here, but I think that the NC State Wolfpack do enough to get the cover. Tennessee wins by 3.
Okay, what do you think, Boggs?
I think I'm not betting on this game at all.
Oh.
I like Nico a lot. I think Tennessee looked unbelievably dominant. I think they're going to come into this game fresh. 46 players played on defense last week.
Sure.
So, everyone comes into this game fresh. They look good. But what did we just say about Raiola, right? Like in going into an enormous game. And Nico has been at Tennessee for a year, but this is his first enormous game under the lights, kind of on the
Sure.
road. And it's a neutral site, but it's not really neutral. So I don't really like either side of this game. I don't know how Nico's going to perform in this big one. Grayson McCall is a transfer. Kind of took NC State 3 quarters to get rolling against Western Carolina last week. So I'm just to stay away from this game as a whole. Just enjoy it. Just if Nico is what he was last week, it's going to be Tennessee going away. So if I do have a lean, it'd probably be towards Tennessee. But I just really don't like this one.
Okay, Boggs say maybe stay away from this one. Maybe have a beer. Maybe have a halftime dart or something, but don't get invested with it. I like that advice from our guy Bogman there. Another chance to get invested with or fade the ACC comes as the now 25th ranked Clemson Tigers host the Appalachian State Mountaineers. No major injuries on either side. Not much head-to-head data to go off of either side as well. But we do have Cade Klubnik coming in here. And it doesn't look like he progressed a ton based off what we saw in week one. Phil Maffa, I know there was a lot of hype around him coming into the season. Didn't look great last week either. Just averaged about 3.7 yards per carry. However, Georgia is not the best measuring stick. We got to keep that in mind. So how do we handicap this game with that in mind, Terrell?
Oh, well, I mean, Tyler from Spartanburg's just got his feet kicked up, arms leaned back, and he's like, See, I tried to ask the questions that needed to be asked last year, and they got us all pulled. And now here we are looking like that against Georgia. Klubnik is just, I think he's okay. I think he's okay. I don't think he's going to be one of the greats in Clemson, not by any mean, but I don't think he's going to be a scrub either. I think he's just going to do
It's
enough.
not going to be DJU, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's 100% not going to be DJU. I think it's a little tad bit better than DJU there, but yeah, I think that this is going to be a tough game, but that App State team is really, really good over the course of a very, very long time. They make themselves competitive in a lot of these games, and I think they are. I think this first half is going to really knock Clemson back a little bit in saying, hey, I didn't realize this App State team is going to come and take the fight to us. We don't have to take the fight to them. And so they're going to come back after the halftime, dabble, and make adjustments, and they'll look better. Are they going to cover 17? I don't think so. I think Clemson wins by 13-14.
How do you feel about the boys from Boone in this one, Bogman?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't love the side of this game. I do like the under though. App State gave up a ton of rushing yards to East Tennessee. I mean, I think that Clemson with Maffa's such a physical, pounding runner. He's going to wear that defense out. So I really like the side. I don't like an angry Clemson team coming in here, right? Like they're upset. They were embarrassed last week. They want to go out there and show everyone that they're not the team that got smoked by Georgia. They're much better than that in a home game here. But App State, like Terrell said, is a tough team to play against. They're scrappy. They always bow up and play well in big games. So I don't really like the side, but I do like the under in this game.
Okay, I appreciate that. Let's round out today's program with the nightcap. The Boise State Broncos and big-time running back Ashton Jeanty travel to Eugene to face the Oregon Ducks, who have fallen from 3 to 7 in the rankings after a disappointing 10-point win against Idaho. I've already taken Oregon on the 18.5 points in this one. They covered in 10 of their last 14 matchups dating back to last season. Bogman, you were kind of expecting the spread to open up here as the week progressed. We haven't seen it open up a ton yet. Oregon did open up as 24.5-point favorites last week. Do you feel the same here, that this will eventually open up and that you want to get on Oregon sooner rather than later?
I want Oregon kind of regardless here, and I know that it was not the best final score performance for Oregon last week, but they were good. I think we mentioned this on Monday, right? They dominated this entire game. Yeah. They held the ball for 39-16. They had 487 yards of offense. They held Idaho to 217 yards of offense. They had 31 first downs. They just had 8 penalties. They failed 2 fourth down conversions. Gabriel took 3 sacks. Boise State has a lot of experience returning on defense, but last year they weren't that good on defense. In PFF, all the things that they measure team-wise, they were below 100 except for coverage, and they were 91st. That does not add up to a well-played game against a team like Oregon, who they had their speed bump in week 1. I don't think we're seeing another one in week 2. Boise State looked great on offense, but now they're playing Oregon, who just wrapped up Idaho. And Boise State is obviously way better than Idaho, but I just don't think that Oregon State's going to have the issues that they had last week, or Oregon, excuse me, not Oregon State. I don't think Oregon's going to have the issues that they had last week, and I think they're going to roll Boise State here.
I heard some Broncos fans on the internet getting real loud saying, hey, maybe this Boise State program should be ranked here. What do you say to them, Terrell, and what do you say to those who maybe want to back the Bronco in a bet this weekend?
Well, first of all, I don't think anybody should be ranked if you don't cover the spread. So, because Boise didn't cover the spread, shout out to Georgia Southern, plus 14, getting it done here. Because they didn't cover the spread, I'm not saying you're ranked. But how good is Ashton Jeanty? Like, how good is he as a running back? If he can be as good, because I do think that Georgia Southern defense is a little bit better and deserves some credit, but at the end of the day, he torched them, absolutely torched them. So is Georgia Southern really a bad defense and I'm wrong? Or are they actually a good defense and he's that good and he can actually make some holes and they can set things up for him and he can get explosive in this game? If he is, then I think they're 100% going to run the score up. And I think Boise is the play here. So I'm going the opposite way. I'm taking Boise in the points. I think this is a little bit of Oregon looked bad in the first game. They're going to get it back for the second game. And no, this Boise team is actually pretty good offensively, and they might be able to keep up.
I'm betting on Dan Lanning and the boys. I get it. I totally get it. Ashton's a different beast down there, but I got to back my boy Dan Lanning. Is there a better coach right now in college football, Bogman, than Dan Lanning?
Kirby.
Okay. Yes,
Kirby's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Lance Leopold. Lance Leopold is one of my favorite. One of my favorite coaches in college.
I like your OC too. Koltenick, he had Penn State playing great.
Yeah.
Sark is a great play designer. Yeah. There's a lot of good coaches in college football, but Kirby has the smarts and the horses. So give me Kirby to beat anybody this year.
All right, sounds good. And that'll do it for us today on the Betting Pros College Football Show. Greatly appreciate everyone tuning in. Boggs will be back later in the week with his best bets and player props episode. Until then, like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and the podcast feed. Plus, download the Betting Pros app and sync your sportsbooks today. He's Scott Bogman. He's Terrell Furman. I am Seth Woolcock. Take care, y'all. Thank you.